When I started about 10 plus years back, it was still new. So, there was this feeling of something great and exciting and new, which is always still there. But back in those days, it seemed truly revolutionary. So once I started doing stand-up, there was no looking back. About a year, I kept my feet on both boats, like Ajay Devgan, but eventually you had to take a decision. So I jumped over. So I was very much gainfully employed, and then I shifted to stand up. It's been a decade now. And like not just stand up, but anybody who's self employed anywhere in the world, but more so in India, this is precarious. Right? Month on month, your income varies. You don't have visibility on what the next year or the few months will look like. But I still think it's a very small price to pay for freedom. That's how I look at it.
Welcome to yet another episode of Joking Apart, the occasional series from the India House Foundation, in which stand-up comics sit down and talk about the serious issues which propel their work. Today we are with Punit Pania, who quit a career in the corporate sector to seek self-expression in writing and performing comedy. So some time ago we spoke with Sanjay Rajora, who's your friend, and he told us about his escape from a boring job in Silicon Valley and his arrival in comedy. You also were, gainfully employed in the traditional sense earlier. What were you doing, and why did you change to comedy?
I was living the middle class dream. No, I did the MBA, I got the corporate job, it was stable, and we were keeping our head just above inflation and aiming to build a property. That's all you can aim for. Like one flat is all you get for your lifetime's worth of struggles and sweat and blood and tears. So it was all to be on course. But writing ka tha keeda pehle se. So I kept that alive through my MBA, through my years in corporate, and it wasn't going anywhere. The writing, but I would still write because I liked writing, not to no particular end professionally or financially. But at one point, I thought that life is passing by and we should do some, get with it. Try once to make it in writing. And through that struggle, stand-up happened. Because stand-up is also writing, It doesn't look like it on today's videos, because today's videos are just, you've seen what are those videos. It's just crowdfunding. But good stand-up is writing. So it converted well because I used to write satire, And so it translated well on stage. And when I started about 10 plus years back, it was still new. So, there was this feeling of something great and exciting and new, which is always still there. But back in those days, it seemed truly revolutionary. So once I started doing stand-up, there was no looking back. About a year, I kept my feet on both boats, like Ajay Devgan, but eventually you had to take a decision. So I jumped over. So I was very much gainfully employed, and then I shifted to stand-up. It's been a decade now. And like not just stand-up, but anybody who's self-employed anywhere in the world, but more so in India, this is precarious. Right? Month on month, your income varies. You don't have visibility on what the next year or the few months will look like. But I still think it's a very small price to pay for freedom. That's how I look at it.
On stage also, you're doing satire essentially. You were writing satire and now you're performing satire. But I know it's just the right time for satire, but at the same time, the repression of satire is also very important because a certain kind of, paternalistic politics doesn't like having it can't afford to have the balloon pricked.
Correct.
And people like you prick it constantly. So now with these new rules coming in, I mean, there is a sort of crackdown happening in which individuals like you are going to be answerable under the same rules and the same laws as large media houses. But what do you think that's going to do to what you say? Will the content change?
They've been trying this in multiple ways, right from the broadcast bill to the earlier IT rules, then to the amendments, like whatever U-turn they can take into that kind of censorship that they're trying. They've not succeeded completely yet, but they still bulldoze through. No, because in the end, the process is a punishment. Then you go to court and keep fighting it out. As long as everybody from the cop to the magistrate is on your side, you can book anyone for anything. No, it could be absolutely ridiculous, absolutely murdering the law and the constitution, and then you keep fighting for years and then be acquitted. To what? No, like to what avail? So while that battle continues, but as the famous first lines go, no, it was the best of times and it was the worst of times. So it's actually a very good time for satire. If everything was hunky dory, then you may not need satire as much. So then, that being said, they also say that pressure will lead to more creativity. But then eventually you'll get to a China-like situation, where even words itself are banned. So you make memes. Then the memes are banned. You come up with new memes to mean the same thing. So you don't want to get into that kind of a scenario. So while we keep saying that hard times are good for comedy, there is a limit to it. If they absolutely crack down, then because you have to think of the larger country first, just for the art's sake. So we'll keep making something or the other, because India will never be short of material. If the one thing that the country is not poor in is comedy material, so there'll be no dearth of that. But we worry about the larger well-being of the country and its polity. So that is a separate battle, of course, on the front of say canvassing for the laws, and there are some people doing great work like Internet Freedom Foundation and a few other people, but the larger public is unaware of it. I don't foresee an absolute sort of ban, because that'll look very bad, and they need some outlets also for the people to let steam off. So, but now, having been in this for a decade, we are used to this sort of hunting season coming upon us every 2 years. It's a cycle. One person gets caught with something, there's outrage, and then the cycle continues for a few months, because people dig out other material of other people who can also be considered offensive in hindsight, always in hindsight. So we are sort of used to it, but if you see, the slide is downwards. Like if you were to plot on a graph, then definitely the things I myself was saying a few years back, now I'll think twice.
And isn't that mirroring the life of the nation also? I mean, this current controversy about passports as proof of identity. Now, the position which has been articulated by the MEA is technically correct.
Yes.
But very hard to fathom for a population which has assumed that it has been given this document and other documents like the Aadhaar card and so on in good faith.
Yeah.
And suddenly you're told, no, that doesn't work. So it's sort of putting people in a permanent state of uncertainty.
Absolutely. I'm also questioning the time of this statement. Like, it was not prompted, it has been planted in the news cycle, it seems. And everything is a distraction from something else.
Yeah.
And that's what it feels like now. Even when a scam breaks, you don't get interested in the scam itself, but in why the scam was revealed, because there's complete control. If anything makes it to the news, it's a decision. It's not a real unbreaking of the news. Like, and the funniest part is, the CAG, which was responsible for bringing the Congress down eventually, you not heard a peep out of them. The only news you hear CAG in is when the 6 judges were retired, they're ordering 6 BMWs in a tender. So I think the only way to survive is to see the funny side of it. I think earlier governments were also similarly incompetent, and I would say barbaric also. But the current regime, it exceeds in its ruthlessness. That is the scary part of it.
Yeah.
So it's incompetent, but at the same time, there is a lot of cruelty involved in equal measure. And that's what makes them more dangerous than the earlier government. Nobody defending the earlier governments. We've seen what the country has been through. And some of the comics who are older than me in the scene, they were hammer and tongs after Congress also, before 2014. So whoever's in power will have to bear scrutiny. But now the issue is that because 10 years, 12 years is a long time, we almost seen a generation come and go. And so many kids will have never seen a different India.
Yeah. Now, I read somewhere that you've taken interest in philosophy and science fiction. Is that correct?
Yes.
I think it's a very sophisticated armory for a comic artist to have.
It ought to be, but in the Indian market, I feel it becomes a handicap because the dumber the content, the further it flies. And maybe that's not just the country and its gentry, but it's also the way social media works that way.
Yeah.
It's a race to the bottom, and increasingly, all of us are finding it out. Instead, we negotiate with mediocrity every day in stand-up.
Yeah.
So yeah, and the people who are in just the right level of mediocrity, there's a Goldilocks zone. No, if it's below that, it is cringe. If it's above that, it doesn't reach people. So people there in the sweet spot,
Yeah.
they'll achieve superstardom, but they will say almost nothing of value because there are so many pain points now at which the audience can get offended. That for a comic to then be safe for business and to be considered a clean comedian, he has to operate in a very superficial, very narrow space. There's still a lot of room there, no, because you can always punch down on people in India.
Of course.
Yeah, because these spaces, while we get big numbers online, but the spaces that we occupy, including the shows we do, the clubs we perform in, is largely a very upper class, upper caste space. So, yeah, so that is the real echo chamber. No, not in politics. It's the urban Indian who is completely aloof with the misery of the country and the privileges that they enjoy themselves. And of course, in the larger scheme of things, even those people, our audience, they are nowhere near the ruling and the elite class of the country. But in India, the depths of despair are unlimited. There's always someone below you that you can look down upon. And you see, a lot of the comedy is so caste unaware in the country and so unaware of class and privilege. And that flies, because it reassures the audience that whatever you're doing is fine.
But isn't science fiction a safe space? I mean, it's in the distant future. It's totally hypothetical. It doesn't hurt anybody.
Science fiction I like to read, but I don't practice it because I think the current reality is engaging enough and maddening enough not to add layers to it. I mean, you go out on the street in India and there's a beggar with a smartphone. Is that not dystopia right in your face?
Mm-hmm.
So we are staring at it. We've got world-class metro systems now in Mumbai and across of many major cities, and absolutely spanking new shiny metro. You get down the escalator, opens into a slum. It opens into an outright slum. Absolute spoiler as soon as you get off the escalator. So I think we are living in that science fiction. So so while I like
there are things that in India that we strangely see and strangely unsee.
Correct.
So this is a strange unseeing, not being aware that you cross the street and you move from one world to another, for instance.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You get off the metro and it's a different world, like that.
Yeah. You're on your way to the temple and you will dodge 10 beggars and then pretend like you're a nice person with your hands folded.
Yeah.
So, but I guess the regular people, the civilians, they have to be little unaware, otherwise they can't be functional. But for the artist who sees and feels more, then unless he expresses it on stage or anywhere else, he'll go mad.
Right.
So, for all art, not just stand-up, of course.
And there are also things that we agree that we see, like ghar ka khana acha hai. The nation is agreed on this, and it's just if you put it in a different context or a different language, it's actually an absurd statement. But
I didn't get it.
But what's so specifically morally good about it? There's morality involved here. No, it's not about food. It looks to me like control.
Yeah, it's heavily discounted by the unseen labor of women in the country.
Exactly.
That's what.
And it also gives them some impression of control. Ki nahi aaya, khana nahi khaya. It's a big deal.
Yeah, and that's the only sort of satta that the women of the household have, so they will hold on to it.
Absolutely.
But then if you see the biggest comics in the country, which at all they broach this topic, it will be from a very patronizing point of view, ki maa ke haath ka khana. You would have seen that, right? So a
Yeah.
lot of the comedy ends up being like more of a motivational session for people than anything which pushes the boundaries. And
Yeah.
I feel maybe you can't go very hard. You have to take small steps, but you have to meet the audience halfway at least. But what our artists do is they go down and mire in the mud with the audience,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
Pull them a little bit towards your side. No? And this is, I'm not saying this from a place of superiority at all. It's just that we, through whatever lucky happenstance in life, have come to a point where we have time, to process things. So the
Yes.
people who don't have time, people are working in IT, उनको उनको कौन बोलेगा ये सब?
Yeah.
क्योंकि उनको फिल्म में तो कोई बोल नहीं रहा है, ना टीवी पे बोल रहा है कोई, ना उनके दोस्त बोल रहे हैं.
Yes.
Imagine how few are the avenues where somebody can say something which is rational and kind. Almost zero, almost. And even the social media that they consume on in their own evolution, seemingly, even that is like absolute crap. Like 99% or more of the content you see online, which you consume, is absolute bullshit. Is garbage. It's melting your brain cells. So then, do you expect empathy from these people? I think they can't even empathize with themselves also, because even as a somewhat well-off Indian, you're going through so much trauma, I would say, on a day-to-day basis, just to get from home to work and back, and also life-threatening situations you are dodging to get home every day, and maybe you're numb, maybe. It's that. Also, the schooling system is also so brutal. From the syllabus to the teachers to the examination, I think it kills any kindness left in you. So that makes art all the more important.
And you be pointed use of that. I mean, I remember a set that you had called Guilty Bystander. The name struck me very well,
Yeah,
because all of us are exactly that
yeah.
to some measure.
It feels like that because
Yeah.
you ought to be doing something, but you don't know what.
You don't know what. So there's that, and there was something else that you had said in one of your sets about free time, the
Yeah,
consumption of free time
yeah.
by consuming reels and what exactly was that? I remember being struck by it at the time.
Which is sort of what I just referred to as well. Like between the artist and the audience, a big difference is the time we have to ponder over life. With the
Yes.
regular audience, can't afford to or avoid sometimes unconsciously or consciously. Because in the end, everybody is smart in today's world. Everybody has a smartphone now. Everybody has chat GPT on their phones. It's not like knowledge is not a problem anymore in the world. No, it's perception and it's time. Largely, it's time. People don't have time to introspect. People don't have time to think rationally or to deduce something. And then what wins in that case is repetition and propaganda, because you keep repeating the same thing 100 times, it becomes the truth. No? So I was just wondering today when the TV was on at home and the guy is yelling, obviously one of the many rabid news anchors we have in the country. And I thought if somebody meets you in person and talks like this, you will walk away or you slap him. No?
Pitega, huh?
But instead we take information and opinions on the most important topics in the country from these people who don't even talk like a sane human being.
Yeah.
So it's repetition. It's the volume and the repetition of propaganda that has sort of made people this way. And of course, there's no reading habit in the country. So, and there are no third spaces left for people to congregate in also. So everything is so, I would say, leveraged and dependent on money that there is no, I would say, there is no exploration on your own of anything, be it politics or in the personal space. So I think in that sense, art becomes more and more important, increasingly so, and some art which is still independent to some extent. Of course, the laws of the country still apply, and increasingly so, as you discussed with the IT rules earlier in this same interview. But beyond that, at least, stand-up is that one space where we can speak without sponsorship or influence. everywhere else, if you see movies, if you see web series, there are producers, there are sponsors, there are platforms. No, there are so many points of leverage through which, even if the artist, the writer wants to say something, doesn't end up on screen. और लास्ट में सेंसर बोर्ड तो बैठा ही है अपना कैंची लेके, so
So in this world where the comedian sort of stands apart, as you're saying, he or she has a certain autonomy.
Yeah.
Does that make the comedian a bug or a feature in this society?
I think it is a feature of society. Just that in today's era, we are called stand-up comedians, and the way we present ourselves is in a certain sort of aesthetic. But right from the court gesture, to the street plays, it's the same tradition, because somebody has to laugh at the absurdities of life and of society. So if not us, then who will do it? But I still feel that an artist being truly independent is a more modern phenomenon. Like right up to say a few centuries back, artists, if at all, were practicing in a way which was relevant, they were sponsored by either the church or the king. So, and now that has been taken up by brands, that space. So the more free you are of sponsorship, the better your art will be, or more meaningful it will be. So while satire or humor has always existed in some form, I think throughout history, but us being truly independent is a more modern, and then that's why maybe governments around the world are so prickly about what we do. Because even the court gesture could be just waved off, and taken to the gallows, with one gesture. But in our case, it's not that easy. They will do it eventually, but it's not that easy.
Well, on that hopeful note, Punit, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us on such a wide spectrum of things and for speaking so honestly. Thank you.
Glad. Yeah, always a pleasure. Thank you, sir.